Hello and welcome to the C1 review for 2024. This is the review video of the Silver Lake C1 series. I think everyone here at the table has a very vested interest in it. Of course, I am your host, Robert Lewis, and I've got the boss man of the series next to me, Mr. Robin Welsh. Down the end, we have got the man himself, Esquire Alan Prebble of Silver Lake Automotive Recycling, and we've got the real boss with us, in Katie Ramsey Gough, who is the new coordinator for the series for this year. Guys, you might have to huddle a bit close to the microphones because they are studio type.
I'm quite used to it now.
Quite used to it now with the professional driving talk podcast. That's all right, Alan, just as long as you're quite near it. Guys, it's been a hell of a 2024 so far, hasn't it?
It's been busy.
Very busy.
It's been very, very busy.
Very busy. Yeah.
Enjoyed it a lot. Lots of highs and lows. Yeah, I will say that. You know, definitely would have preferred more highs than we had, less lows. But you know what? All things considered, some big grids for the year, like bumper grids through the year, which shows the strength of the series at the right circuits, which is quite evident. We're seeing a right pattern now of where the drivers actually like to go and where the teams like to go, and what sells well for the teams, as well as what the small clubbies want to do as well. So we're taking all that on board. And more importantly, Alan, they're buying the parts, aren't they?
Oh yeah, definitely selling plenty of parts. That's what's good for us. But no, we're really enjoying the season. Good to see the grids are starting to build up, and good to see people seeing the value in the C1 racing, and with a new car behind me, it's nice to sort of drive that this year. And
yeah, that's worked out very well actually, hasn't it?
Yeah,
probably better than we'd hoped, I'd say.
Yeah, a lot better, and it's a completely different car to drive.
Well, let's so Katie, will come to you shortly because you've got to round up this rabble, and that's going to be some interesting stories in itself. But Gen 2. How did this come about? So, because it was quite quickly into the start of the season that the car started to get done, and it was finished quite late in the piece, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, how did the idea come about?
Yeah.
Well, I've been in lots of one-make series over the years, as you're aware.
Yes.
And what I've seen a lot of them do is get stuck doing what they're doing, not move forward with the times.
Yep.
And just say, if you're not moving forward, essentially you're just moving backwards.
Yep.
And what I saw in the marketplace is a lot of teams are buying really good condition Gen 1 cars to build beautiful examples, like we're seeing around us these days. But they're spending $2 or $3 grand on a base car. And I saw that you could start picking up a Gen 2 for the same money. So I thought, well, why would we not? It's purely a cost thing. If you're going to spend a bit of money, some of the bigger teams might have sponsors that want a more modern looking car, let's say. Yeah. Or something as silly as that. You can buy a Gen 2 for the same money as you're going to buy a Gen 1 car. It looks more modern, it's better for sponsors, and they put money into something that's a bit more modern. And we've proved this year now that the pace is no different. They're not faster, they're not slower. Brands Hatch was a perfect example. We had David Drinkwater in 558, who led the race for, what was it, maybe well over half an hour?
Most of them.
There was a silly mechanical failure, but up to that point, he wasn't struggling to hold the pace of that race. The car was doing very well at Snetterton in the 24-hour a few weeks ago. Again, we had a few issues middle of the night, but the pace was there. The car was arguably the fastest car on the circuit, wasn't it?
Yeah,
really?
It was really quick car. It's a little bit easier to drive.
But
actually in a straight line, they're very comparable. The last hour of the C1 and 2CV 24-hour was very pleasurable to drive, and keeping up with the front runners with it, and it was good. I
think that's the biggest feedback I think we've seen from what you guys are saying on the Gen 2 car, is they just feel a bit newer, a bit more stable.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with it is when you're under braking, it's a little bit more stable, it's a little bit easier to drive, but it's not any quicker. It
easier to drive.
It might fit the more or less experienced drivers that a little bit more safer. The Gen 1 car is a little bit more skitterish, under braking, and could be a bit more loose.
But that would suit a lot of drivers as well, so it's not like there's one's better than the other, they're just different.
Yeah, but it's nice to see the Gen 2 with a little bit more stableness can give lots of experienced drivers that little bit of edge for other people having the Gen 1's been like it's skitterish, so it's a little nice balance there really for everybody.
It must have been quite daunting to rock up at round one. You had a 38 car grid at Snetterton, and you've got you had two brand new cars, because you've got this Gen 2 that we've seen here,
Yeah, we had 301 out as well, didn't we, I think?
Yeah. And to rock up with 2 effectively brand new cars, fresh out of the box, that must have been bloody scary.
I wasn't driving it, so I wasn't scary. I was just organising, but it was nerve-wracking to see what they were going to do, because it could have gone really bad one or two ways. They could have been really slow and off the pace, problem. Or they could have walked away with the race, bigger problem. But they didn't. They both, where they need to be in testing. With the 558 was doing competitive times in testing. I can't remember who was driving my car then. Was it Nick? Was Nick in there?
No, it was Mike Harris and Matt Parks.
It was Mike Harris and Matt Parks, yeah. And we had a few teething issues with my car, because I think we still had the bigger front roll bar on it at that time, so it was quite an understereo thing. And we worked out the teething issues, and they're both on pace now, and they're both as good as each other. And just, mine is a very basic build. I did it as if you were to build the car at home.
Yep.
So it's not posh, it's not fancy. We just welded the feet in, bolted the roll cage in, bolted the suspension on, and just went racing. Whereas 558 is a very different build. It's like a little mini touring car. Is it any better? No. Is it very pretty and a nicer place to be? Yes. But there's an argument that a C1 car should be just bolted together in your garage at home, because that's the ethos of it. So it's nice to see the 2 different cars are 2 examples of what you're going to see: team built ones and a club built one. But they can both do the same time. So.
It really comes down to what inspires each different team. Want their cars to go on a real hard budget, and they want to go racing. They're both comparable on the pace, but if you do buy a Gen 2 car and don't do a lot to it, it gives them the opportunity, if they want to spruce it up a bit, they can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We stripped ours right back to bare.
Yeah, and that was the good thing on it. This was a bare shell build. Literally every nut and bolt wire, everything was out of it. It was on a rotisserie spit, being painted inside out and underneath. Whereas mine was a road car that I just still drove to work and back a lot. Just bolted a cage in one week and then bolted the suspension on the next week, and it was just a vehicle, just bolted bits to it.
Well, that's the beauty of C1 racing. It's everybody can do what they want with their own cars.
My one's still taxing MOT'd at the moment.
Yeah, it's still cost-effective racing. So that's
fantastic. Yeah. Katie, you came into this year fresh as a daisy. Yeah. And you've got to control how many drivers, Robin?
Well, the first race, what was
or it? Just the whole year?
Yeah, a lot. 500 or 600 this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big field to look after. A bit daunting for yourself. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so my experience has been, so team coordinating and team managing previously. So
yes, you've had C1 experience.
Yeah, and team managing the 24 hours, that was my first team manager gig. So what a way to kind of jump into it, managing 5 drivers and a lot of team staff over essentially 40 hours being wide awake. And yeah, I thought it would be a great opportunity to talk with Robin and the team. I love the C1 paddock, so it's just a great opportunity. So took the offer up, and then a few days later, the 24-hour at Silverstone next year was announced. So I feel like I wasn't prepped for that. I was like, oh, okay, I'm doing that now. No, very much looking forward to it. And
I mean, next year, Silverstone GP 24-hour, that's going to be the one that you get the proper stress. All the drivers, we're hoping for, well, to be fair, the interest we've had already is insane. We've got 50 cars here this weekend.
Brilliant.
Which pretty much all of them have said they're going to do it. And we've got at least another 20 that we know of. I mean, I think we're going to be back up to like 70 or 80, which is going to be busy with at least three per car. So
yeah, I'm going to need some help. Okay, I'm going to need some help. That's but so looking forward to it. And I think it helps when you have some great teams with us and great drivers who are all out just for the right reasons, to go out, race, have some fun, and have a really nice time out there.
So we talked 24 hours. I mean, Robin, Alan, that must have been so daunting when we had the, I'm not going to say issue. I mean, there is a wide UK motorsport issue at the moment with falling grids. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, massive.
I think 60-70% of the grids in the UK have suffered this year. Cost of living crisis. And unfortunately, that meant that Anglesey got cancelled.
It did, yeah.
But I feel that, this is just from my view as a commentator and my role with the series, is the bounce back since the Anglesey announcement has been absolutely phenomenal.
It has been absolutely brilliant. I think the only curveball was Brands Hatch, but we suffer a little bit with subscription at Brands Hatch. But the biggest problem is it was right in the middle of summer holidays, so I spoke to everyone I spoke to. I phoned probably 50 or 60 people that weekend, and they'd either just got back from holiday, just going on holiday, or the kids have got parties or whatever. It's typical summer holiday stuff.
Yeah.
But every other grid, Donington 53 cars. Snetterton we're in the 40s again. Here we're in the 50s. The Anglesey cancelling wasn't that C1 Club had a problem, because there's no problem. Donington we were sold out. Here we're sold out. We can't have any more cars if we wanted to.
Yeah.
So you could argue that there is no more room for growth, but you can get reserves and whatnot, and all that. But the Anglesey cancelling thing was just a location issue.
Yeah.
And that's why GP's back on next year, Silverstone GP.
Alan, you're chomping at the bit for that, aren't you? You've got some unfinished business here.
Yeah, I do enjoy the 24-hour. I think the camaraderie. You potentially got could have 100 cars coming up for next year. You're talking 400 drivers, and all their team. You could well over 1,000 people here for the event. And the last 3 that I've done at Silverstone, going back over the years, it's been just a fantastic experience. Watching everybody repairing their cars. That's great for us. But if we got enough bits, But no, it is good, and that's really what it's all about. We love the 24 hours. You get a chance, plenty of driving. It's real challenge of endurance for everybody, and it just creates a nice atmosphere.
It's not just a challenge of endurance for the cars, is it? You've done enough now that it's hard on the team, because people say a 24-hour race, you think, that's a long time, but they neglect to realise that you're pretty much up. That's case, it's like you 48 hours at least. You're just awake before the race starts, etc. Because we start so late on Saturday. So
So no, but it's been brilliant. I think that's what the real difference is about C1s. That's why we got involved so heavily in it. Because of the 24 hours or the 6 hours or twin 6 hours. It's always been a bit special. You get plenty of drive time. It's not coming on for do a couple of 15-minute race and then you're going home again. I think it's just a good chance to experience, and it really sorts gives everybody a good chance to get a good result, because so much can happen in them 24 hours. Don't matter you have to be the fastest. It's about whether you can get to the end of the race.
It's when my team qualified. When did Morwin qualify? Was it 48?
Oh yeah,
48 I think out of 60 cars.
But you were top 5
yes.
and on for a podium later on. I can remember that, and that was my first race as a commentator.
Yeah.
And that was so I've got very fond memories of the C1 24 hours. Thank you, Robin.
Sorry, I was actually very proud of Morwin for that meeting, because not a lot of people realise, but and although I would tell everyone this, and I tell people at RC, the emails that me and Nick were exchanging were long and extreme, but he asked me every single question, every single detail. What shall we do? When shall we do it? And I gave him an exact go-to, and he followed it. You told them what to do to the letter of what I said, and you were just watching them go up and up and up and up. They were staying out of trouble, doing long stints, and using a safety car window.
Good pit stops.
Good. Get the car back out. Don't mess around in the pits. Get it in, get the job done, get it back out. And it was great to see that. It was really, really good. And everyone was super proud of what you did, and the team worked really well. It was good.
And just to highlight how long it's in that time where you're awake. So I always tell this story when I talk about 24 hours, that we were loads of us on the pit wall waiting for the final few laps to go down, and checkered flag comes out. So all the team all went out on the pit wall, getting all the cars in, and we were celebrating ourselves. And then we were like, "Where's Steph? Where's Steph? Why isn't Steph here?
He's in the car.
He's in the car." We were that knackered, we completely forgot that one of our team members was actually in the car driving it round in circles. So, it's an absolutely awesome event, and it's so exciting it's coming back next year.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So the cancellation of the 24 hours, the excitement of the 24 hours coming back. We've kind of covered Brands Hatch being a little bit lower than we wanted, but there was one thing that really stood out for me. Unfortunately, Alan, you were doing other business, so you weren't able to attend all race at the Brands Hatch rounds. Number one was seeing the Gen 2 car so high up the order with David Drinkwater, really fighting hard. There's been so many flashes of pace from the car this season, which has been impressive to watch. And the other thing as well was the podium at the end of it, because we've all been so used to Trojan running away with things because they're such a well-executed team. They get the job done. But to see the likes of TGR Racing winning it, Rab Sport second place, not quite. But
not quite. Richard, Richard was just so close. So
close. And AF Racing and Alan, you came to it as well. The camaraderie around this paddock as well was the reaction of the other teams to them getting that result. It was astounding.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, good. No, I wasn't there, was I?
Of course you weren't, sorry, but no,
it's a shame,
that podium was great.
I did watch it from abroad, and I was quite transfixed, especially when Greg and Dave were doing so well in the race, and they're between Silver Lake and Trojan, they're up the front, and it was quite epic to watch.
You just had a silly mechanical part fail, a ball joint on a track rod end failed, and it was the most stupid thing.
That was nearly a brand new ball joint.
But we've never seen it happen on a C1 before. I've been in this since 2017. The luck, the one time the car's leading the race, David's doing a good job, and suddenly see it. I mean, but that's endurance racing, right? It's just gutting. You can't predict that stuff.
No, you can't. No. Other notables this year, we've got to mention Alpha Trojan. They've been absolutely phenomenal. 3 wins out of 4. Yeah. We had a little bit of an issue with the Clarks had to kind of get involved at one of the Snetterton rounds. We won't cover that side of it, but what have been your standout teams this year so far?
AF Racing.
Yeah.
For me, I look at what they've been doing when they first started doing this. The drivers at first, from what they'd previously done, in my opinion, were very over-enthusiastic. Mm-hmm. A level of desperate in the driving. You could see they seem to have the right ideas with the car prep, and the dad does an amazing job. I can't remember his name, which I'm sorry about, but they're doing it very well. But the drivers just kept making silly mistakes. Now they've sussed it. You can see they sussed it, and they're always creeping up in the brands. I was so happy for them to get that result, because they've just been a little bit. I mean, there's plenty of other teams that stand out, but for me, this year it's the progress AF Racing have made is insane. They've just made a massive jump.
But
that's all part of the series, isn't it? The C1 Racing Series, where it is so regulated, where it is as standard as it can be. It gives, with these long races, just gives every driver that time to fine tune their skill sets, and gives them something to train, to aspire to do. I mean, I've only started doing sort of track racing, the last sort of 4 years, and only done C1, and and I've fine-tuned my skills, and I've been close up near the front a few times now, and I was near the back, and I can see like Snell Speed, they've come right up through.
That's a good. They would have been one of my choices, to be fair. They've been phenomenal this year, and they're so. I think. Yeah. I don't want to, touch words and all of that. We've got a 50-car grid at Silverstone this weekend, but I might go with Alan. I'm going to tip Snail Speed to get a podium. I think it needs to happen. I mean, they're currently. To put it into, we'll look at that camera because our other one's gone down. But they're currently changing a gearbox as we record this on the Friday night at the final rounds at Silverstone. But spot on. Has there been any other teams that have caught your eye this year?
In practice today, I was going around with following Trojan. I know they were really quick today, and was managed to keep with them. But but in a bit earlier in the more slicker, the wetter, the stickier and slippery time before in the second practice, I was struggling to keep with Snail Speed. They were really going well. So I do agree with Rob. It's going to be a really interesting race. There was quite a lot of even racing out there in practice today. Everybody's going for it, and hopefully it stays dry tomorrow. So I'd be really interested tomorrow. And I think there'll be a lot of passing, a lot of.
I'm looking forward to seeing the times after qualifying, because 50 cars. I'm looking forward to seeing how many cars are on that lead second or half a second, because you say, all you got to do is get in the top 10 to be in the ball draw in this. But I'm looking around this weekend, I'm just thinking,
how are you going to pick 10?
How are you going to pick 10? No, there's 20 cars at least that I can pick that are easily going to be on pole potentially if they were just to do it on lap time. And there's just it's going to be very, very tough in qualifying. A lot of luck, I think, because of the traffic as well.
A lot of luck and a lot of drafting.
It's going to be a big grid and we're on the small circuit, and we just need good job. You got a wide circuit, a safe circuit to be on, and hopefully everybody will keep it clean, because there's 3 hours of racing. So
3 hours and 50 cars.
It's going to be quite exciting.
Turn 1's going to be busy.
I might be in race control a lot.
I think
you're going to get your steps in.
You're going to be quite busy, Katie. Your teams that have stood out for you this year?
I think I don't have any particular favourites, but I think for me, and the bit about racing that I enjoy the most is the love and the passion for it and the emotion. And I think bacon racing for me,
they made me cry at Silverstone.
Oh, don't.
It was hard not to get emotional there.
That was gutting, and Brands Hatch as well. They were so close as well.
Every time they do it, you just think they've got it, and they're just the silliest thing, and you just think they just can't catch a break. They've got the whole thing now. They just need that bit of luck.
It's that bit. It is, and I think it's to see the emotion or the initial kind of disappointment, upset when it doesn't go their way, but within 20 minutes, it's right. Next one.
How can we make this not happen again? Yeah, they're great guys.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams this year have really stood out to me. We've got the likes of Melbourne Racing; they kind of came up, and they've got some great pace.
They're a classic one where they've got the pace now. Sorry, I'm not meaning to. They've got the pace now. They just now need to put the rest of the package together.
They do, yeah.
So it's one of those things. There's one thing having pace in this.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got the rest of the package, you're not going to get the win.
Yeah, it's great to see personalities entering the C1 series like Robin Smith. They're perennial winners in British and international motorsport in Rob Smith's case.
Yeah.
It's good to see touring car drivers come and race with us. But for me, I love an underdog.
Yeah.
So again, I've got to go for Snail Speed. You've got to go for some of the underdogs in C1 racing because I think they find the little bits as well. They find what I call the little garagista bits. Colin Chapman was the man in a tiny little garage in the back making his Lotuses quick, and I love that about any club racer, probably because I'm kind of a bit tuned that way as well. So the likes of Snail Speed Racing, but again, you cannot help but not be impressed by Alpha Trojan. Emacs have had some great drivers out this year. Earlier in the year, I think the Littles were once again on the pace and taking it to Trojan. It'd be interesting to see whether they come back for all the 24 hours next year.
I'd be amazed if they don't, because they kind of got a lot of unfinished business here because of what happened last time.
That was the most interesting podium I've ever covered.
Awkward.
Very awkward. And I think
I remember, I
think you got out of the car, Alan, and was like, "I've just done my fastest lap," and I'm like, "Alan, this is not a good time. This because it was all still being sort of sorted out." Yeah. And bless them, the passion was high, and you've got to love drivers for doing that. And a mention to Glenn Finn as well, and to BPC Tuning, both sets of teams there have brought some fantastic drivers and cars to the series.
Yeah, they have. A lot of drivers. Glenn, the not rotation of drivers that Glenn has, because he just has them all on repeat. He just has loads of cars on. The drivers Glenn brings to this series it just brings so many new drivers in. Yeah, which is brilliant. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and we were hoping to bring him on, but understandably he's got a dinner date to go to, and
off to a nice warm hotel.
Off to a nice warm hotel, and there's probably someone looking a lot better across from the table than the likes of me and you, Robin. So
sorry about that.
We'll kind of go from that. This weekend, then we've got 50 cars on the grid going into Silverstone. We'll start with Katie. What are you thinking? Come on, put your
I think it's going to be spicy. I think when you get to that final. Sorry, Robin. When you get to the final race of the year, and it's it's that one opportunity, and I think coming on the back of brands and having that podium of people who are different on those top steps, and I think that's maybe invigorated people to go, do you know what? Final race, we can do this. Just get ourselves into the top 10 or get ourselves as close as we can. And then nail the pit stops, nail the strategy, and we've got a chance here. And I think that will lead to some, hopefully, very okay attempts and lunges and overtakes and no contact. But
I'm going to put it out there and hope they're not listening to me. I think the chicken's got a chance. What do you think?
Always got a chance.
They have always got a chance.
Everyone's got a chance. Just got to make it come together.
Yeah.
And one of the drivers does have an agreement that if they were to win or get a podium, he has to get a tattoo.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So,
okay. We'll mention that to the Clarks then to make sure we get the right result. And Alan, you must be feeling pretty feisty. Do you fancy putting 558 on the podium?
Well, I don't know. We'll have a good go. But I love Silverstone. Been there many laps with the 24 hours. So it's the first time I've really done the short circuit here, so that's quite interesting. But
I was going to say, you've done the GP loads of times, but it's amazing how different the lap can be when you just take half it out.
Yeah,
it's now a totally different concept.
Yeah,
because the GP I find gives you a lot of chances to relax.
Yeah,
especially in one of these cars, you get a minute to think, and a lot of the corners they're fast, they're quite easy in these cars.
Yeah,
but suddenly you take them out and you just got the little national, and it's tricky in its own right.
Yeah.
You got to think about it.
Yeah, I think to be at the front it's going to be very intense. You know, I had a feeling of that back at St Ethan in the 24-hour 2CV race going back last month, and you know, racing with the Littles for an hour at the end, and we had a bad electrical problem in the evening, but you know, we kept up with the Littles in the EMAX car, and to run with him for a good half an hour, I felt knackered at the end of it. It was really, really hard, but no, I think there's gonna be quite a mixed grid. I think, you know, because a lot could happen. So I'm not really going to put my bet anybody. I think there could be
Alan, you're going to get splinters. You're sitting on the fence that much.
You know how compared I am.
I get it though.
I was told off by Rob at Snetterton. You know, I hit the rubber coming out at Snetterton, hit the bollard, and I buggered up the suspension and done the wing and the bonnet. But you know, I was so enthusiastic. You know, after my accident at Pembury, but you know, I really got the mojo back at Snetterton, and unfortunately in qualifying the evening I hit something, and then the next day I think that caused electrical problems, so we didn't stand a chance, but we got the car sorted, and next day the car was going good. But I think Polo Rosso's going to have a good chance of two real good drivers there. You know, I've watched them all late season, they're really quick. They did well at Pembury, didn't they, so last year, so I think that I think it's going to be a mixed bag.
You've got so much, I mean...
And Trojan.
Well, the thing is, what everyone has ignored is JW Bird back. First time this year.
Yeah.
So Nick Beaumont and Phil House out in the little grey car, which is just the best car in the grid. And, like, it's the most understated subtle car. You never see it, but it's beautiful. And it's that car's first time back since a little accident, and at Portimao as well. So they've got something to prove, because he wants to prove that he can just come back and just do the do again. So you know, that's another variable. You throw that in, you think, you know, BPC, Jack Watson, Sylvain Rubio out in the 5-door. So the Gen 1 5-door, that's another first this weekend.
So again, the series just keeps on evolving.
I think there's going to be a lot of butterflies on the bridge. You know, you got to give it to Trojan. They've done a fantastic job the last few years.
They handle the pressure so well.
Yeah, they do. They prepare the car, they drive. You know, they're very consistent. The strategy's great. You know, but I think they're going to have a lot of butterflies on the grid this time. So I think there's going to be a lot of competition tomorrow. So if they pull it off tomorrow, then best of luck to them. But I think they're
definitely not going to have it easy.
No,
I know Richard at Rabsport, you know, he's got 2 cars out this weekend with some very, very quick drivers in. You know, he's kind of bought his A game for drivers. He's really got something to prove. So, and he's, you know, hot off a podium at Brands.
It's amazing with Rabsport as well. I'd probably put them. I missed them out as one of my teams of the year, but since they got that podium at the Race of Remembrance last year, they've just gone on this hot streak, and it's great to see. Because again, they're one of those teams you just want them to do well.
I mean, Richard couldn't possibly try any harder.
No,
there's nothing left.
No, and it was. I think there was a few things they were probably muttering to me under their breath at Brands, because I kept going into their garage to talk to them because they were on for the podium, and of course commentators curse. No one wants that. So I think at one point they wanted to tell me to go away.
Physically removing you.
Physically removing me from the garage was potentially something that was going to happen. So, but again, right, we've got so many fantastic teams, and back with a bit more after this. We've gone through this year. We've kind of spoken about the teams that have taken us by surprise. 2025, what is that going to look like for the Silver Lake C1 Series? Anyone care to jump in?
Hopefully 6 rounds of full grids with lots of little cars going around for a long time.
Oh, I like the sound of this.
Especially, you know, 24 hours back, May 3rd, 4th, 5th. Put it in your calendar, save the date. Entries are going to be open within a few days. BRSCC have put on a special payment structure for that event as well, so £900 deposit, so super affordable this time, considering the minimum you got is 3 drivers. So there's no excuse not to get the entry in. We do suggest you do, because you're then allowed to pay on a payment schedule over the next few months on the lead up to the 24 hour. So previously we've done it as a deposit and final payment, but now we've made it even easier. £900 deposit, payment schedule, minimum £500 a time. You can phone BRSCC whenever you want, £500, or do it online. I think it's going to be a payment portal. You can just click a link, put the car number in, pay, done. So anyone in your family, you can phone your nan and just say, Nan, I want some money. Here's a link, pay your money.
Is Christmas coming up?
Exactly, get the money out of them. Avoid the inheritance tax. But yeah, it's going. It's there.
Get your money out.
Exactly. Yeah, get your money out.
Yeah, the Silver Lake C1 series where your nan can pay for your rent.
But yeah, the 24 hours is the biggie, right? You know, we've had a year off on 24-hour stuff. Really, you know, yes, 2CB Club invited us to their event, and we had a great time.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's not quite the same as the show we put on. It's the big show, and because of that year off, teams are more enthusiastic than ever.
The appetite is there, I think.
It really is there as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as soon as those entries are open, it's going to be interesting how many people get on early. And there is some talk of an invitation class as well. There's some. Myself and Paul from BRCC are still just ironing out the details because we really just want it to be one other class.
Yeah.
So that's going to be confirmed again over the next few days.
I'll go with that. Alan, 2025, how's it looking like for Silver Lake and for the Silver Lake C1 series?
Well, I'm looking forward to 25. I think the enthusiasm's back around the series. You know, it's gone. You know, that last year's gone a little bit flat with the entries, and you're not seeing so many people coming on. But you know, I'm really looking forward, you know, to 2025. Myself, Rob, and Paul from BRSCC have had some chats around where we can spice up the 24-hour. Maybe get a bit of a music or something going on for everybody that's come along with their families. Just try and make it more of a family event than we have before. So just some few ideas we're kicking around, but I think that's going to be the pinnacle of the year, and hopefully we can, you know, get the entries come and follow on from the rest of the races. Robin's not letting me know what's going on yet with the schedule, but hopefully we can have some hints from you now, and some hopefully some. So
nothing's confirmed.
He won't tell any of us.
Because nothing's set in stone, and Paul will just shout at me more than he usually does.
I'm blaming you, Paul McCurtain, if you're watching this.
But you know, if it goes our way, we're going to be Silverstone GP for the start of the year for a short one, as long as all goes to plan.
Yep.
And then we're going to be straight back to Silverstone GP for our 24. So essentially, we're doing a little test for everyone to get into.
Yep.
Then straight into 24-hour. We got a couple of Snettertons. How that looks is just to be 100% confirmed, but there's a good chance it's going to be a double header. Donington always sells out.
Always sells out.
Can't not go. And you know the way it's looking, I think we're going to be coming back here.
Coming back to Silverstone for another go.
And I think we're going to, Silverstone National again because it's just so popular. And I think the variation from GP to National has actually worked really well for the cars. And there's some other little bits thrown in there, but that's the basics of it. It's pretty simple, but we've just had to look at what the drivers and teams buy into. What do they want to do? Okay, well let's do that. Try and lose it. Brands Hatch, we're not going to come. We're not doing brands next year. We're having a break in the 6 weeks holiday as well. So C1 Club, as soon as 6 weeks holiday starts, closed, doors shut. Go on holiday, see your family, do whatever you need to do. 6 week break, everyone can chill. Because we always struggle for entries in the 6 week holidays. And I think a lot of the teams are very relieved with that because they can go, cool, right, we're not going to miss an event. We can go on holiday, book holidays whenever we want.
Yeah.
I think that's what went on with brands. I've missed it every time because I'm away in August, and that's one of the pinnacle circuits I'd love to race at, but I've never got the opportunity to go there and race and in the C1. So.
And
it'd be nice to go back there, Rob. Maybe later in the year rather than the sort of end of July, August.
The problem is the only time we can have brands. This is how complicated. Paul McCullen has a hell of a job with calendars. The only time we can have brands is right in the middle of the 6 week holiday. It's the only time we can get a brands date. So I just said, look, we're just going to have to call it a day on brands for next year. But it's the right thing to do, I think. To have because we need a season of full grids. You know, that's what
I think you're going to get that.
And I can't, with the circuits we got, I can't see why we're not.
I think we're going to see some new faces next year. I think.
Well, there's some new teams here this weekend.
Yeah.
So is this where you're coming from? You think next year a lot of new teams and new faces?
Yeah, it's been a conversation throughout the season. I think across multiple paddocks that grids are down, and I think with C1s being up, obviously brands, but we've had sell-out grids, and I think that will instill some FOMO. What are C1s doing that others aren't? And I think that will sort of get the juices going. We're going, do you know what? It's an affordable entry to motorsport. It's a lovely paddock to be in. Let's give it a go. And when you're up against some touring cars on the other weekend, touring car drivers, then
Yeah, how many series do you get to do that?
Exactly.
British touring cars, I think.
Yeah, but the great
slightly more expensive.
But the great thing about it, it's still affordable racing. You don't have to go to the expense that we done, or Trojan's gone, or anybody like that. You can still come down to Silver Lake and keep your car going very cheaply. It's go and RU pick at yard and pick a door up, cheaply, and the bits and pieces. So it's still in a lot of people's budgets, and that's one of the main reasons Silver Lake got involved in it. But I think it's a great leveler for everybody. You've got the similar cars, and it's really down to your own personal talent and skill set, and learning from others. There's so many of the teams happy to help, give tips to the other teams, and I think that's the really nice thing about the series.
I can definitely vouch for that. I think when I'm sort of doing my role and I'm having to go into a particular garage to get some driver footage or whatever that is, it's so hard to tell who's with what car because they're all helping out with each other. And I'll see sort of one team branding on another team branding car, and it's because everyone has that culture of you're all in this together, let's all help each other out in the garage.
And that's what makes this series absolutely top. Special.
I love it.
Right, I think that very nicely rounds things off. Thank you guys. Thank you to Alan Prebble, MD of Silver Lake. Don't forget, if you do want your motorsport parts, head down to silverlake.co.uk or just pick up and give them a call. They've got a great sales team down there. They'll probably have the part you need. So thank you very much, Alan.
We've got a motorsport section being built now. So on email, we're very busy on the phones. So we've got a special section being built so that people can put their inquiries, so they haven't got to wait around for us looking. So our IT man Nacho is building something at the moment, so hopefully that'll be online, ready for next season. Great.
Okay.
Fantastic. So, ladies and gents, that was a review of the year. Let's get Silverstone out of the way, and we'll see you in 2025.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Cheers.